Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Jimmy Wisenhunt. We're still live here for the H1Z1 12-hour stream at Sony Online Entertainment. The last group of players are coming through here, actually, as a matter of fact. They're fans of the game. Got a few familiar faces here. Actually, for the last several minutes, we've been sitting here just talking about the game. We figured we might as well continue down that path. It's been some good conversation so far. More about the game rather than just questions as we're sitting. A few of the questions still popping up. Still keep tweeting your questions to hashtag H1Z1Design. Here in a little while, I'd probably say within the next probably 10 minutes, we're going to start actually just running around. I'm going to head over to my desk. Cameron will be following me. We're going to see where the build's currently at. We're going to talk to a few people who are working on their other day-to-day things, and then check on the barricade stuff and see where that's at. But hope you guys are looking forward to that, and thanks for sticking with us through our little break there. I want to pass the mic around a little bit. What did I miss? Like, we were talking about a few different things there. Just wherever that happens to go.
Hey, folks. I suppose we're going to introduce ourselves too.
Please. Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, you folks might have seen me before. I am Neurotoxin, a.k.a. Legendary Neurotoxin, a.k.a. the guy who yells in the camera at SOE events. And I'll probably do that at some point here before I go. Of course, I'm also a live streamer and insider with Landmark. So, if you find me on twitch.tv/Legendary Neurotoxin, you can see all my shows, get giveaways and all that awesome stuff there. So, check it out. I got H1Z1 show going Thursdays pretty much every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so tune in. It'll be awesome.
Howdy, I'm Shane, and a casual gamer, and I'll be asking as casual of questions I can think of.
Oh, we passing the mic around, I guess?
Yeah, we're just passing around. Let's introduce each other. I mean, just have the conversation. People are making fun of me for my flip-flops. Just a quick update, but go ahead.
His feet stink, by the way.
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm just a dude. I'm here to see what's going on with the game, and ask some questions and play. That's about it.
Hey, I'm Steven. I'm also just a gamer, electrical engineer, alumnus of UCSD, and I'm just hanging out. Very nice.
Hey, Steven, why don't you start off our conversation?
Yeah, I'm actually going to sit up on the couch.
Okay, sure. Well, what we were just discussing was physics, right? I mean, that was like really the last thing that we were talking about. We wanted to find out if the game... Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, go ahead. I was asking, like, what part of physics were we
were just talking about the whole idea of trying to promote not building shantytown in the world, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to let people build things that are lock together, snap together, and look good, and are very usable within the world.
Yeah. You don't have phallus-shaped buildings everywhere and things like that.
Sure. Well, we'll get some of that, but the idea is to provide you with a system that lets you build logically, and it looks aesthetically pleasing, right?
Yeah. Cool. Very, very cool. By the way, quick introductions on some of the staff that's here right now. We saw Dave Abram earlier today on stream. He's one of the engineers, and if you just want to let people know what you work on, we'll be seeing a little bit more of you too after 5, I'm sure.
I'm a tools and gameplay programmer. I am currently working on the terrain editor and getting a static decal system into place in the world.
And you did a lot of work with the weapon stuff too prior. Me and this guy work a lot together trying to get the fire mode stuff working. Talked a little about this morning. And of course we got Steve George here. Tony's joined us. I don't know who all else might pop in here. But give you guys a quick update on where we are. After 5 o'clock we're going to be really jumping back into what's going on, what kind of progress we've made throughout the day on a few things. Once again, the feature we picked today was barricading out buildings. And there are a few other things going on with the team. Not everyone, like some of the animators are still working on the wildlife stuff and see how that's going. But
the deer looks phenomenal. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Is it the one in game? I haven't seen the iteration after that. I've seen the one in game. It looks awesome. I saw Paul Carrico crouch and sneak up on it and start just punching the crap out of it, which is hilarious. I don't know if we want that to actually happen, but well, but for sure. Any questions from you guys, by the way? I mean, any of you? Yeah. Kind of start us off a little bit?
With that, I saw earlier today the barbed wire that you guys had, like, for the zombies to get mangled in. I was watching a zombie run, like, in and out of the barbed wire, I guess, and it took him forever until he finally died. Are you guys gonna have, like, something that goes along with, like, walking through the barbed wire, like, I don't know, his legs get jacked and he has to crawl, or, like, is there gonna be something that happens, or are you just gonna take damage?
Yeah, one of the cool things, I think, with the systems we have in place from some of our other games that are part of our backbone is we can do all kinds of things with, like, zombies, just with AI in general. We have an ability system in place where we can choose to make him go slower through it while taking damage, causes a bleed on him, do a lot of things. With players, it'll definitely cause a bleed if you walk through something like that and do a little bit of upfront damage to you. But yeah, no, we could definitely do something like that. I think initially we just want to see what it was like to start getting items like that in the game. It's almost white boxing, right?
Yeah,
It's
that item is about 8 days old, I think, 8 or 9 days old total. And initially it was very powerful. Like I said in the earlier conversation, it was destroying vehicles. It was brutal. And now I think Paul probably lightened it up a little bit.
Sure.
So that's why you're seeing him probably treading through it.
I think we'll probably go to something like a snare if it's placed on the ground or something like that. You know, the snare plus damage or entanglement is what they were calling it earlier.
Oh, were they?
I have no idea. I heard something from someone about that.
We really enjoy just using different words for the same thing.
Right.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Anything else? Any of you guys? I know we've been having a conversation before this all started. There you go.
So it's going to start off open sandbox. So, I'm very naive and inexperienced when it comes to sandbox games. So my first question is, when you spawn that initial character, like, what's the randomness that is going to be brought forth? Is there a random spot on the map? Is there how likely is it to be an origin? How big is the world actually going to be comparatively to something in real life?
So as far as spawning goes, we're doing a lot of tests right now on how we're going to approach that. And currently right now it's very basic. It just gives you a random location. But we've just got this heat map system online which allows us to balance, to know where players are and where zombies are. So we can use that data now to better place you at the beginning of, after dying in the world. So that'll come online pretty soon, I would assume.
Yeah, and the great thing about the system is we really do try to push, especially at this stage of development, for things that are just big bang for the buck. And the heat map system involves how zombies are going to react, where they're going to choose to go, and also player spawning. There's a lot of things we can do with that. So actually really excited to see what all fronts that'll affect, Actually, Lenny just ran away. I just saw him here. I don't know where he ran off to. I was going to see what he'd been working on a little bit. But, Nero, got any questions over there?
Oh yeah, plenty. Well, actually, there was one thing that we were talking about a little bit earlier on in the conversation about the idea of not just hardware stores and the amount of stuff you'd be able to make with barricades and stuff from those, even using the shelves, but the idea of companies that manufacture very, very, very specific things and having a lot of that one thing around to use as a type of barricade or just a general kind of use item. One thing I was thinking was cable spools. Cable spools are pretty big and they can be used for a lot of things. They can be used to kind of lay out and block off an area. You can have them on the rolly side, or if it's one of the ones that's kind of a lopsided thing, you gotta kind of glue two of them together, but then you've got this giant battering ram wheel or something. So the idea of using that, or another one that we were thinking was anvils, the various cartoons and such, where someone walks in a room and then anvil right on their head, or you've got a makeshift catapult that launches anvils or trebuchet or whatever. So the idea that you've got potentially and I guess the question is this something that we might be able to see in the game? The idea that maybe once every month or every 3 months, a new company or a new factory or something is introduced and kind of propagated into the world, so that way we have these kind of regional barricades and equipment.
So, I guess that kind of the core of what you're saying is, outside of the companies, is regionally throughout the world, because we'll be expanding from where we are now. You may see different types of things.
Yeah.
I would expect that to happen. When you're in the wilderness, you're going to see a lot more of the most basic of survival type things. You're going to see a shack, something like a lean-to and that sort of thing, fairly often. You need to find a way to survive in the wilderness. But if we end up with a more very much concrete jungle type place, then you might start seeing people barricading up buildings instead, versus trying to build all these lean-tos and tents and things throughout the wilderness. I imagine that would be there. I'm not sure as far as the companies and stuff goes. There will most likely be more things available as we expand. We did talk about initially it's mostly civilian-based weapons, AR-15s and that sort of thing, and if we have an area that contains a military installation, then you're going to be able to find some of that equipment.
Okay, I can think about all sorts of stuff, just trade related, and the fact that there's zero economy and no auction house, that I can see that can be really awesome, especially going region to region just trying to be a trader, and of course not getting killed along the way.
You start hiring bodyguards, right?
At the end of the day, no matter how big and bold you get with your empire, it's still a survival game. It still takes, one shot to the head, 3 shots to the back to kill you?
Yeah, I mean, all tunable, but I mean, realistically, you get shot in the head, you're going down. I mean, kind of the way it is.
So, one other question I had now that we're actually talking about gun stuff for a moment here. Magazines is something that I've talked to people a lot about. Are the characters gonna be just kind of throwing their magazines away like in PlanetSide 2 where everything's expendable in nanites? Or is there actually gonna be the consideration they have to put the magazine away before they reload the next one? And also like actual bullet count, like you don't have 3 magazines and they're automatically always full if you have enough bullets. So is that the sort of consideration? Because I don't want to call out who specifically said it, but they said we don't want this game to be gun porn, and I totally understand that.
Sure.
But is that the level of minutia that we will actually kind of see in the game there?
We've talked about a few different ways to approach magazines, and actually there's a forum post, our internal forums, that I kind of wrote out. I think it was 3 different options on how to handle this, and essentially put out option number 1 I'll make it short, but essentially option 1 was you have magazines. You start off with a magazine, it's just typical, it's whatever. It may start with kind of a random durability, you get lucky when you find the gun, it's a good shape or not, you need to clean it, you need to replace a spring, whatever it happens to be. And you need to fill that magazine before you go into combat. And you could then get multiple magazines. They'll take up inventory space, but you have multiple hot magazines that are going to be loaded up. Option number 2 was simply you have to have a magazine that's attached to the weapon, and that magazine needs to be loaded just between reloads. So it's the magic, right? It's just magic reload. And then the third one was, we don't worry about magazines. It's part of the gun's durability itself. It's all one unit, and you have ammunition in your inventory around your character, and it reloads from that. Having a magazine as a container is a difficult thing to do. It really is, like tracking on the server side and everything. And beyond that, it's a pretty tedious thing to do. Some people like the idea of being able to load up 3 magazines and really prepare that. They might not be able to carry as much food because they have so many magazines, but they're just loaded for bear, like they're ready to go. We ended up deciding on the having ammo on your character and just reloading the magazine. You're not going to see them throw that away. It'll just reload on that. Reload times will be fairly long. They're not going to be snappy like a Counter-Strike or a PlanetSide 2, but it will take a while to reload there.
A good point on it too is currently our ammo, if you find ammo in the world and you pick it up and put it in your inventory, it doesn't automatically load into your gun at that point.
Sure.
You have to consume it first, which means you're kind of opening up the ammo, I guess, and kind of preparing it to be used in the gun. Then once it's consumed, then your gun's ammo container rises, right?
Yeah,
ammo count rises.
And we've played with a few of those different ideas. I mean, definitely still an iterative process of how that'll end up. We're just seeing how all these different systems feel.
Cool. Now, you brought up a couple things here. There's one last question before I pass the mic that it'd probably be a quick one. In terms of pockets and carrying things, is that something that's going to be kind of built into the crafting system? Like somebody just with basic materials is going to be able to sew on a couple pockets here and there just to carry stuff. Maybe if they've got more advanced equipment, they can actually do something a lot more formal and do like a full utility belt sort of thing.
I would say, if anything, that would be something you'd find in the world that's static as far as what it can hold. Like, it's design decided. So you can't go find a leather belt and then add, attachments for ammo or to hold more things. It's pretty much going to be static from that, and I'm just for the sake of simplicity and understanding. Otherwise, you end up, what happens when you die, right? Suddenly there'll only be a bunch of shirts with 1 million pockets left because everyone decided to add pockets to it. So, for now anyway, the plan is static amount of slots per item. It's going to be pretty predictable every time you find it. Do you guys have any other questions there?
Yeah, I got one more.
All right.
All right, so I know you guys have a story for H1Z1.
Mm-hmm.
How much is the story going to impact the gameplay? How involved is that going to be in the player's experience?
It's going to be how we tell the story through the world. Once again, it's not a I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's not an on rails game, right? So, Steve,
I think you'll get the initial story. Radar X could probably get more detailed on some of the intro stuff, but you'll get the initial story. And then as we expand the game, I'm sure then we'll probably provide you with more lore as those expansions go outward, I would assume.
Sure.
I could see it happening in that perspective.
This is definitely more of a breadcrumb kind of story. We might do things like a journal here and there, or graffiti on the wall, or things like that. But I don't think we'll ever have an NPC tell you, exactly
town
what
crier.
happened.
The end is nigh, just jumping in the middle of town. Not going to be any of that.
The goal is for you guys to craft your own stories. It's to it's to give you the tools to create your world. We're providing an environment for you and
a backstory.
A backstory, and you guys go into the world and you take that even further.
Yeah, every play session we do, I got another cool story, and it's totally different from the last one.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Very, very cool. Any more?
I have a question.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of the questions probably have already been passed through since you guys have had so many groups coming in. But how do you feel about, what do you think the impact of, skill trees might have on this game? Are we going to see, an improvement on a character depending on how much they do something, or...?
We've kind of made a conscious effort to stay with the very basic, but at the same time, I guess complex progression. I mean, there's a certain type of player that plays these games, and I'm one of those guys. I very much like myself being being what decides how good my character is, my decisions versus the skills that I've, trained up. So, I mean, not planned right now. I mean, however, you will need to do certain things to get other things. You need to get logs to get planks that then put something together to maybe build something that allows you to build something else, which essentially ends up being a skill tree per se. I mean, you need to gather these things. It will take time. It's just a much more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know how to describe it.
It's interesting because literally, for example, the first 5 times you play the game, you die very quickly. Oh, yeah. And then your personal skill tree grows. You know what I mean? So it's more on you than it is your character.
You're more aware of maybe your surroundings
in game.
Become a more apt character.
It's definitely a player-driven knowledge game, as opposed to a character-driven knowledge game, where your character isn't the one who knows things. It's you, the player, that knows.
And you're the persistence, right? I mean, you learn these things, and it's not just about crafting or just about learning the basic systems. It's about learning visual cues. We've talked about it. When we start putting zombies in that may be a little bit faster, act differently, and do different things, we want to make sure there's a visual cue there. And the first time you die to that zombie who just happens to lean a little bit more to the right with his shoulder, and he just walks slower than everyone else, you're like, oh, the guy's going to be slow. What if he just comes at you faster than you can sprint? Yeah. Well, you're probably going to die. But next time around, you're going to go, I know that now, and I'm going to be able to avoid that son of a gun. I'll be fine. Sure. So, yeah.
All right.
And, well, of course, learning things like weapon sounds is going to be huge. I mean, you need to know the difference between what a 1911 sounds like whizzing by versus someone shooting at you with a 308 hunting rifle. There's a pretty big difference in threat level there and distance and all that fun stuff.
So, do you guys expect maybe technological or the level of a player's technological that they have at hand, or technology that they have at hand, like a 7.1 headset, would be able to give them the advantage to know, okay, well, somebody's shooting me from over there, so I got to get the hell out of here, this way, and do you expect that to be a kind of a big thing, where sometimes it depends on whether or not they have either a stereo headset or a surround sound headset to kind of get that.
I mean, spatial audio is part of the system, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We want to support the best hardware out there that we can, right? Yeah. I mean, that's feasible to support. And if it's 7.1, it's 7.1. I mean, personally, I still play with the stereo headset. I have for years, and
yeah, there are a lot of people who still do that. So that's why I was just kind of addressing a concern that might be with some of the players.
Yeah. Buy a 7.1 headset. Yeah. We're the Razer guys. But anyway, any other questions before we jump out? Let's do one more here, and then kind of explain where we're heading for the rest of the day. As once again, it is now about 5:12. We'll be live till 9 o'clock, and this is kind of the I guess what we call Devathon. It's we're actually going to jump in and see what's going on with everybody, and check on the build's progress and all that stuff.
So I guess the question is, are you ready to have me yell into the camera here?
Oh. Wait, what?
Because I yell in the camera for every game. I've done it for PlanetSide 2. I did it for Landmark. I actually did it for DCUO during one of the panels. That's how I got my first Nugafen hat. It's his thing.
Okay, I guess I missed it.
You are ready.
Yeah. So I can verify. Are you ready?
Can you please not hold the microphone too close?
Sure. About here?
Way down. Actually, let me just grab that. Yeah. You from over there.
All right. All set?
Sure.
H1Z1!
Clegg just walked off. All right, well, that about wraps up the Q&A portion with the community. Ty, were you able to hear that outside?
What was that?
Were you able to hear that outside?
Yeah, that's why I came in.
Okay, are we still alive? Everyone's good.
She knew that we're moving on to the next part.
That's right, that's right. Well, do we have anything to throw to just for a little bit while we get ready and kind of set up with the roaming camera and all that fun stuff?
Sure.
Take a quick break, just a couple minutes.
Oh, we can't really. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, build should still be up and everything.
Okay.
I have to make sure, actually, is main still up? I know we were kicking off a build earlier. Clegg.